Hello everyone. So now from today we are starting the population geography. As far as population geography is concerned, population geography is part of both paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1, if you will go through with the syllabus, you will find in paper 1 as part of the syllabus, part B, section B, that is human geography, we have population and settlement chapter. So population and settlement chapter is written in your human geography. Separately we have the population and settlement. So both the topics have been written in only one chapter. It will be more visible for you if I'll go to the PYQ. So what are some of the topics that you are supposed to study as part of the, so till here we have population, growth and distribution of world population, demographic attributes, causes and consequences of migration, concepts of over, under and optimum population, population theories, world population problems and policies, social well-being and quality of life, population as social capital. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study. Now when you will look out the growth and distribution of world population, so जब आप growth and distribution of world population पढ़ेंगे, so then you will get to know that it is talking about the something related to the growth and how the population is distributed in different part of the world. So it will be very easy for you to understand. Causes and consequences of migration, migration से related कुछ है, causes and consequences, concept of over and under and optimum population. So this is a concept over the period of time you will learn. Then we have lots of population theories, then world population problems and policies, social well-being and quality of life, population as social capital. But there is a one topic where you will find that what to study, that is demographic attributes. So demographic attributes is part of here, but what to study under the demographic attributes? That is why it is important for you to first of all understand that it is both in paper 1 and paper 2, and also you need to refer the topics of paper 2. So in paper 1 we have this population and settlement geography. So यहाँ से population हम करेंगे, and in paper 2 we have a chapter called as cultural setting. Cultural setting, while discussing the syllabus, I must have told you that cultural setting is population plus society. So cultural setting is nothing but population plus society. Population plus society. So the historical perspective of Indian society, racial, linguistic and ethnic diversities, religious minorities, major tribes, tribal areas and their problems, cultural regions, growth, distribution and density of population. Whether you have written or not, if you will recall, the first topic of our population is growth and distribution of population. So if you will read the first topic of your population, that is growth and distribution of world population. So growth and world growth and distribution of world population is part of paper 1. Here you will have growth, distribution and density of population of India. So that is why in the starting itself I told you that the syllabus is very elaborative. लेकिन in general students don't understand this. तो आप ये देखिए that here you will have the clearly written. Now, in first paper they have a topic called as demographic attributes, but they haven't defined that what is the demographic attributes. But here they are writing that what examiner is expecting that you should know about the demographic attribute primarily related with the paper 2, that is the India specific. So when it comes to the demographic attributes, we have sex ratio, we have age structure, we have literacy rate, we have workforce, we have dependency ratio, we have longevity. So these are the topics that are part of the demographic attribute, but more importantly you are supposed to mainly look out from the India specific. So you mainly need to study India specific. Then we have the migration. Migration is primarily part of paper 1, paper 2, so दोनों जगह पे है. And associated problems, so migration से problem. In paper 1 they have simply asked the migration. They are not saying that the problems of migration, but paper 2 में, because the migration is one very big issue in India. From time to time you yourself must be coming across this issue of the migration, migrant laborer. Yeah, if you have come across, recently we have one of the you can say most severe accident in last 20-25 years, other than the Bhuj earthquake or any other major disaster. The present rail accident happens to be one of the major disaster in at least in last 20-30 years in Indian history. Almost more than roughly around 500 people have lost their lives, and in that 500 people, majority of the people were migrant laborers. If you will just recall the situation during the COVID-19, so when the lockdown has been put up, the worst sufferer were the migrant laborers. You must have seen the horrific pictures from the Delhi, from the Mumbai, from other metropolitan cities. People were walking by foot, people were going by rickshaw from the Chennai to Bihar or from the Surat to Bihar. So migration is a very big issue in India. One problem in general, of course over the period of time we'll learn, but one problem in India is, because in India we have the kind of democracy, the kind of administrative system we have in our country, we have a single citizenship. So we have a process of single citizenship, and every people have got the right to fundamental right to move anywhere with some restriction, specifically in the tribal areas. So in general we have the constitutional mandate that we can go anywhere, we can do any profession, we can settle anywhere. But then comes some of the other administrative setup, like the federal setup, federal government. So in federal government the state governments are there, and in state government definitely most of the things is associated with the vote bank politics, that who will vote them. So over the period of time most of the state governments happens to be skeptical toward their migrant, because for them migrants are very important for the city. Migrants are important for the city because they mostly part of the infrastructure building, most of the transport drivers are there, every thing associated with the migrant. लेकिन जहां पे बात आती है वोट की, क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ द माइग्रेंट दे आर नॉट हैविंग द वोटर आईडी कार्ड, दे आर नॉट हैविंग द परमानेंट सेटलमेंट, तो उनका जो है राशन कार्ड भी नहीं होगा. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट दे विल नॉट टेक एनी regressive measures against the migrant, that is fine, but they are also not trying to bring them in particularly in accommodating in that particular state. Yes, over the period of time, most of the state governments promote their unauthorized settlement. क्योंकि आप हर बार सुनते होंगे दिल्ली में इतनी अनऑथराइज्ड कॉलोनीज हैं, देन यू विल हैव द स्लम्स इज डेवलपिंग इन समवेयर, देन इन मुंबई we have the Asia's largest slum area, that is Dharavi. So how this Dharavi came into existence, or how the slum population have increased in case of Delhi? Because government is expecting that once they will settle down, then they will become part of the city, they will have the voter card, and then they can vote, and then they will be useful for us. But in general, they don't want to come out with any migrant policy. So that is one very big issue in India, the issue of migration. And in fact, this is a very big problem in rural areas related to the agriculture. Most of the city areas population that we are witnessing, most of the cities population that have increased is associated with the migration. Because if you will look out the population, the census data has not been released, the census has been delayed because of the COVID-19. Generally in our country, after every 10 years we will have the census. तो हर 10 साल बाद census conduct होती है. Census का काम है कि सभी citizens की data collect करना and then come out with the data that yes, look, in India we have this much of the population. So Census Commission comes out with the data, and almost from 1881, every 10 years census is coming out with the data. So the next census, last census has happened in 2011. The next census was supposed to be in 2021. The process was supposed to start in 2020, but we all know that 2020 was the year when the whole world has been affected by the COVID-19. तो कोविड आया, कोरोना वायरस आया, उसकी वजह से हमारा सेंसस का प्रोसेस शुरू नहीं हुआ. बाद में सेंसस का प्रोसेस 2021 में शुरू होना था, but again it has been delayed. Then the government has almost come out with one bill, and some notification has been notified. As per that notification, now this census collection of the data, enumeration, everything will be systems, everything will be, you can say, based on computerized. Because earlier it was taking almost 1.5 years in data collection, then processing and all those things. So that was very cumbersome process, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे resources लगते थे, specifically the government officials from the banking, from the schools, they were supposed to help in that data collection. But now the government has come out that this enumeration, census enumeration, will be through the computerized, and it will be hardly completed in 2-3 months. But still, that was supposed to start in September 2021, then again it has been delayed. So it was supposed to start in February 2022, but again it has been delayed to the last year of this, particularly somewhere September, October of this year. But we are still not that much hopeful that it will start. But yes, it's very important that the government should enumerate, because most of the educational institute, most of the academician, most of the government department, they follow the data of the census. But yes, we have also other organizations, we also have independent institutions who also conduct the survey from time to time. So we have the survey, we have the some rough idea about the population. As per rough estimate, present population of Delhi is around 32 million. So it is around 3.2 crores. And as per last census कब हुई? 2011. So as per last census, this population was roughly around 1.3 to 1.4 billion. There has been some discrepancy in which area is part of the NCR, क्योंकि NCR का जो दायरा है 2011 से बहुत बढ़ गया है. So thus it was around 1.3 to 1.4 million, but you will find that it has been almost doubled. It is 1.4 crore, not million. It is 14 million. So almost from 1.4 crore to 3.2 crore population. Can you imagine? Just imagine that, because land is not increasing. Yes, some of the area have been added in Delhi NCR, but overall land is not increasing. So it is like that if there is a house, and in that house earlier in 2011 5 people were living, now in the same house 10 people are living, and in even more than the 10 people. So the city is growing how? City is not growing, because for horizontal growth there is a limit, क्योंकि horizontal नहीं हो सकता growth. जैसे गांव में क्या होगा? In rural area, when the population will increases, what will happen? Let's suppose that the children become comparatively older. So what they will do? They will divide the land. So earlier there was one house. Now there has been 3 sons, 2 daughters. So now they will build 3 more houses. So there will be a growth of rural area, smaller towns, smaller cities horizontally. But in big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, the horizontal expansion is not possible. अब ऐसा नहीं कि दिल्ली लखनऊ पहुंच जाएगा, दिल्ली जयपुर पहुंच जाएगा. So most of the development will be what? Vertical. So the cities are growing vertically, and this is the solution. You must have heard, I'm sure, that the Donald Trump is known for building the very large buildings. Almost he is known for his venture. His buildings are also popularly referred as Trump Towers. Trump वैसे भी आजकल न्यूज में फिर से वापस छाए हुए हैं. So the Trump Towers. So it is like 100-story building, 90-story building. So this is also the solution. Anyway, so migration is very big problem. Migration is very big problem, both of paper 1 as well as of paper 2. All right. Then we have associated population problems and policies. So population problems and policies is part of paper 1 also as well as paper 2. तो दोनों जगह पे population, वहां पे world population problem, यहाँ पे population problem and policy. Now there is an interesting topic in paper 2, and that is हेल्थ इंडिकेटर. ज्योग्राफी का इसीलिए कहते हैं कि ज्योग्राफी जब आप क्वेश्चन पेपर पढ़ेंगे, अगर आपने सिलेबस को अच्छे से एनालाइज किया है, इफ यू हैव स्टडीड द सिलेबस प्रॉपरली, सो ऑब्वियसली यू विल नॉट फेस एनी प्रॉब्लम. बट इफ यू हैवंट done that, if you haven't analyzed the syllabus properly, if you haven't gone through the previous year's question, if you haven't prepared that basic content, तो फिर आपको एग्जाम में ऐसा लगेगा ही कहां से रैंडम क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है, ये क्वेश्चन ज्योग्राफी में कैसे पूछने की बात आ गई. If you will look out in 2022, they have asked a question, how would decline in total fertility rate below the replacement level in many states of India affect the future population structure of the country? So if you have not learned properly that what are the part of the demographic attributes, so obviously you will find that this question is little bit random. Similarly, in 2020 there was a question number 3, stunting and wasting among children are major consequences of food insecurity. फूड सिक्योरिटी आपका एक टॉपिक है. फूड सिक्योरिटी is part of your paper 1 economic geography. So in paper 1 you will have economic geography, and in paper 2 you will have a chapter called contemporary issues. Here also you will have food security. So food security is part of your population explosion and food security. So in contemporary issues, that is chapter number 10, you will have a topic called population explosion and food security. All those who are having this booklet, just go to the paper 1 economic geography. Economic geography में अगर आप जाएंगे paper 1, just have a look. Paper 1 economic geography. So here also a topic called as food security. So food security is in paper 1 economic geography. Food security is in population explosion and food security is in contemporary issue. In population chapter, they are clearly writing the problems of population. So in problems of population, the one of the biggest problem of population is what? Rise of population. That is population explosion. So population explosion is part of the problem. So obviously population explosion is associated with the food security. So you will find that how the different topics are scattered. You cannot say that food security I will only study in economic geography. It is part of the economic geography. It is part of your population. It is part of contemporary issue. फिर पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन होगा, पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन से फूड सिक्योरिटी की प्रॉब्लम हुई, फूड सिक्योरिटी हमारे डेवलपमेंट में अफेक्ट करेगा. सो देन दिस टॉपिक इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ रीजनल प्लानिंग. वहां पे भी क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है. एंड हियर दे आर आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन बिकॉज इन पॉपुलेशन वी हैव ए टॉपिक कॉल्ड एज हेल्थ इंडिकेटर. तो हेल्थ इंडिकेटर में देर आर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द हेल्थ एंड वन इज योर चाइल्ड स्टंटिंग, चाइल्ड वेस्टिंग. We call the topic you must be come across, जो आपने सुना होगा, that is malnourishment. So malnourishment is one of the biggest problem in India, specifically in the children's. Malnourishment is not every time that they are not having the availability of food or they are only their weight is lesser. Malnourishment is a term which is used when the weight is either low or weight is also high. So in a way, obese is also part of that malnourishment. So malnourishment is one very important issue, which is the reason why India's hunger index is very low. So hunger index is also one of the topic that you are supposed to have some idea. वैसे अगर आप hunger index देखेंगे तो रहेगा कि hunger is not part of the population या geographies का क्या लेना देना. But this is how in initial stage itself I am just trying to make you understand that whenever you are studying some topic, you should be studying with open minded. You should not study like कि हाँ आज हमने ये टॉपिक पढ़ा, सो ये टॉपिक में हमने ये याद कर लिया, बस बात बन गई. This is the thing that if you will change right from the beginning, believe me, first of all you will love geography. The second thing is you will never face problem in tackling the questions of the mains. लेकिन अगर आप उसी तरीके से पढ़ते रहे जैसे पहले पढ़ रहे थे कि किताब में से एक टॉपिक उठाया और उस टॉपिक को आपने पढ़ लिया, उसके कॉन्सेप्ट कर लिए, तो obviously you will be trapped in the mains examination. आपको हमेशा वो लगेगा that yes, I have prepared this, but there is a gap between what I know and what is the question being asked. तो क्वेश्चन में और आपकी नॉलेज में वो हमेशा गैप बना रहेगा. एंड दैट गैप कैन नॉट बी, बिलीव मी, दैट गैप कैन नॉट बी फिल्ड आउट बाय रीडिंग मोर एंड मोर बुक्स, बाय रीडिंग मोर एंड मोर कंटेम्पररी इश्यूज, बाय रीडिंग मोर एंड मोर न्यूज. वो नहीं भरा जा सकता. वो तभी आप भरेंगे when you yourself are visualizing, you yourself are playing with your syllabus, you yourself are thinking that yes, population is there, why I am reading the population? भाई population geography पढ़ क्यों रहे हैं? If population geography we are studying, it simply means we are putting up the humans at the central place, and it is the human who are capable of changing everything. और आज के समय में तो almost it is globally accepted that the human's appearance on this planet is very late in our geological history. Almost if you will look out from the time frame of 1 year, so the humans have arrived only in last minute of the eve of New Year. So its existence is hardly 4-5 minutes in comparison to the 365 days into 24 hours into 60 minutes. But humans appeared on this planet very late, but they are capable of making so many changes. They are capable of making so many changes that even they are not only making changes on the landscape, they are not only building houses, they are not only building the industry, they are not only building the roads, but they are also capable of changing the atmosphere. They are also capable of changing the entire climate. And if the climate is being changed, obviously it is going to impact the whole survival on this planet, the whole civilization on this planet. That is why we are studying the population. So from that sense, population is very much linked to the settlement. Population is very much linked to the economic geography. Population is also associated with the development. क्योंकि जहां पॉपुलेशन होगा वहीं पे डेवलपमेंट होगा ना. अब गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, मोदी जी, ठीक है, डेफिनेटली दे विल हैव, लेकिन वो इंडियन ओशियन में डेवलपमेंट करने थोड़ी जाएंगे, या गंगा रिवर के अंदर में डेवलपमेंट करने थोड़ी जाएंगे. डेवलपमेंट तो वहीं करेंगे जहां पॉपुलेशन होगी. So there will be a regional planning. So regional planning, your economic activity, agriculture, industry, trade, transport, communication, everything is linked up with the population. So that is the reason why whenever you are studying any topic, you need to look out that how this topic is linked up to other topics of your syllabus. Alright, so these are the topics of the syllabus that you are supposed to study. Syllabus is very important. Almost in the starting itself, I made it very clear that you need to refer the syllabus properly. As far as population geography is concerned, as I said that the population, theme of the population is going to be having very great role in other areas. And in fact, the earlier time period when the geographers were interested in this earth surface and all those human aspects, they were studying the population. So it was not that the population has not been studied, but earlier the population was mostly studied as something, a fact, a knowledge. So it was simply studied in form of the numbers, that how many people are there, what is the population density. So population was not being seen as a one particular topic or one particular proper branch of the geography. In the present time period, we are studying the population geography as a altogether a different branch of the geography. But earlier time period, the population was not being part of the human geography. It was not part of the population geography, was not considered as one particular branch. As far as this population geography, because earlier as I said that the population was there, people were very much clear. क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं whatever the things that we were studying in earlier time period as part of the geography, that were linked up with the humans. Humans must have walked on this planet once this planet was favorable for the living. So humans have walked on this planet, and it is believed that humans must have appeared in the forest. So earlier the humans were in the forest. In forest they were living, you can say, in isolation or in independently. So they were not living in groups. So most of the humans were living independently. Over the period of time, once they have started coming out, so once they have started coming out of the jungle, of the forest, there have been 2-3 changes. The first change, because they have come out with the forest, but still they will not be able to move very far from the forest. Still we are very near to the forest. So if they are very near to the forest, so threat from the animals will be there. If the threat from the animal is there, obviously they will need to have some more number of people. So the grouping will increases. So they will start living in groups. Also, they will try to have some form of the obstruction. So for that obstruction, they have started preparing the houses, settlement. So population over the period of time, when the people have come on this planet and they have moved out of the jungle forest area, so the settlement has emerged. Population and settlement is a, you can say, one process which you need to view in one go. So it is not like that the population and settlement is some two isolated phenomena. Population and settlement happens to be two phenomena that is almost needs to be viewed as one phenomena, as one process. Over the period of time, that settlement has transformed, because earlier form of the settlement was obviously rural settlement. Once the surplus have been there, over the period of time we have invented the pottery. Pottery is associated with the accumulation of the food grains. So we have learned the method of accumulating. We have learned the method of storing the food grains. And once the storage has started, so some of the people have started taking this food grains to different part of the settlement, and through that the urban settlement appeared. So the rural settlement appeared, then the urban settlement appeared. Earlier time period, the economic activity was only one, because when they were in jungle, it was hunting and gathering. लेकिन जब जंगल से बाहर निकले तो क्या हो गया? एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी. बट एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी से सभी लोग एग्रीकल्चर कर रहे थे, बट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम सम ऑफ द पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड डूइंग समथिंग एल्स. So trading has started. When the trading has started, so some of the people have started designing some other items, like some precious metals, ornaments. So manufacturing, a form of manufacturing has started. So over the period of time, economic activity have changed. The settlement pattern have changed. The people that have taken the land, over the period of time, when they have started moving out, so obviously the distribution of population have also changed. But everything has started from the people itself, populations itself. So initially, population geography was not part of the geography. This population geography became part of the geography of very late. The main contributor who is contributed to brought given population as an independent discipline and part of the geography is G.T. Trevartha. So G.T. Trevartha is considered as father of population geography. G.T. Trevartha is considered as father of population geography. G.T. Trevartha. Please write a line. Glenn T. Trevartha of the United States considered as the most important proponent who has elevated population studies to the status of a systematic branch of geography. Next point. Trevartha stressed that population geography is concerned to understand the regional differences in the earth covering of people. Next point. Trevartha has tried to present content and organization of population geography in 1953. Content and organization of population geography in 1953. And he included 3 elements, that is geography of population of past, population numbers, qualities of population, and its regional distribution. So in a way you can say he is trying to just suggest what will be the scope of population, because whenever we are studying something we need to define the scope. It is very important, क्योंकि जो आप सिलेबस देखते हो यूपीएससी ने एक सिलेबस दिया, ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल है और ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसमें उसने एक सिलेबस दिया. तो जो सिलेबस ज्योग्राफी का दिया यूपीएससी ने, यूपीएससी इज गिविंग यू द स्कोप कि ठीक है ये आपका दायरा है, इस दायरे में आप पढ़िए. सो यूपीएससी इज नॉट सेइंग यू टू डू द रिसर्च इन द पॉपुलेशन. यूपीएससी इज जस्ट गिविंग यू द स्कोप. सो दिस स्कोप दैट we have been given presently is the outcome of so many different scholars contribution. So different scholars have contributed, like look this is also part of the population, this is also part of the population. But when this population have been evolved from a independent thing to become part of the geography discipline, so at that time Trevartha have identified that these 3 things needs to be studied and that will be part of the scope of geography. One is geography of population of past. So we need to look out that how population has grown and why it has grown. Why the population concentration is more in some area and other area. Because very old concept of population is that earlier belief was that nature has divided the earth in two different parts. So nature has divided the earth in two different parts. Ecumene and non-ecumene. Ecumene means habitable area. So this popular belief is that some part is habitable, some part is non-habitable. So this popular belief is like Thar Desert is, nature itself has decided that it will be non-ecumene. Polar area will be non-ecumene. Most of the places where we will have the harsh climatic condition or the difficult condition that are supposed to be non-ecumene. But yes, they fail to realize that over the period of time, humans with their capabilities, humans with their technological advancement, because yes, earlier time period in over the hilly area, population was very less. But what is the situation presently? So in most of the hilly area, the population concentration is very high. People can go to the hilly area very easily. So this concept of ecumene, non-ecumene was earlier correct, but present time period, lots of non-ecumene area it can be modified. How it can be modified? It can be modified with the simply humans, and most importantly through technological advancement. So ecumene, habitable, non-ecumene, non-habitable. One more line please write. Population studies got a new orientation in 1969. Population studies got new orientation in 1969 when G.T. Trevartha has written a book titled as A Geography of Population, World Pattern. A Geography of Population, World Pattern. One more line, next line. Other than G.T. Trevartha, G.T. Trevartha, John I. Clarke John I. Clark, Wilbur Jelinski, Gary L. Peter, Robert P. Larkin, Robert Woods, and R.C. Chandana have also contributed in the development of population geography. Development of geography. As far as this ecumene, non-ecumene idea is, so ecumene idea simply suggests that some of the area will be habitable, and non-ecumene is simply of this viewpoint that some area is non-habitable. But yes, over the period of time, this concept of ecumene, non-ecumene is only a theoretical concept, because in reality, the area can be modified. But if you will look out the global pattern of population, you will find that majority of the population is concentrated in few area. So you will not find that the population is equally distributed. Almost the world population is touching to 8 billion. Because the present population that is expected to touch in 2024 8 billion. At the starting of this Roman era, or you can say the Gregorian calendar from where it begins, the population was around 250 million. And in around 1650, this population has reached to 500 million. And then in 1850 it has reached to 1 billion, and almost it is expected, we will discuss this, it is expected that this population will reach 8 billion in 2024. Also, the United Nations has come out with the world population estimate of 2020. It has released the report in 23, but title is 2022. And as per that, India is now the most populous country in the world. So India is the most populous country in the world, surpassing the China. तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारी population more than 7.95, almost nearing to the 8 billion population. But this 8 billion population, you will find, is not equally distributed. Almost 60% the population you will find is concentrated in very few area. So we have East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. Here the East Asia main country, China. Here the South Asia main country, India. Here the Southeast Asia main country, Indonesia, Philippines. Almost 25% of the global population is here. 25% of the global population is here. 10% of the global population is here. 60% of the global population is concentrated in this pocket. Other than these three pockets, whatever the major population you will have, one is in Western Europe. So Western Europe is also one of the densely populated area, large number of population. And other than the Western Europe, we will find the northeastern part of USA. So northeastern part of USA, Western Europe, other than these three area, you will have that area. In fact, 10% of the area on the earth surface will have 90% of the population. So 10% of the area will have the 90% of the population. So population is not same everywhere. That is why the population distribution becomes very important for us to understand. And also it is important for us to understand that why this distribution. What is the reason behind that distribution, or the factors behind that distribution. So the first topic that we will pick up distribution and density of population. So distribution and density of population we will learn, but in that distribution and density of the population, the first thing that we will learn is factors affecting distribution and factors affecting distribution and density of population. What could be some of the factors which are playing important role in this distribution and density of population? Why some of the places we will have very high population, why some of the places we will have very less population? What could be some of the factors? क्या लगता है आपको? Climate? How the climate? Suitable? तो suitable climate रहेगा तो population ज्यादा रहेगी कम रहेगी? Any example? No, like प्लेन में क्लाइमेट का थोड़ी रोल है. प्लेन में ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन होगी या हिली एरिया में? प्लेन में ज्यादा होनी चाहिए या हिली एरिया में? Plain, because plain you will have the primarily it will be accessible, it will be easily accessible, and in most of the plain area you will find that plain area is having the better soil. So the plain area will have the considerably better soil. Soil fertility is associated with the other factors also. But yes, one of the important factor is the plainness. So wherever you will have the plain area, like you will have the entire this Indo-Gangetic plain, Indo-Gangetic Brahmaputra plain happens to be the very plain area. Then you will have the Nile Valley, yes. Then you will have the one of the largest stretch of the plain area is in America, North America, the region of the grasslands, prairies. If you will look out the India, their culture, then you will find almost from the time immemorial when the humans have walked on this planet, from that time till today we have the continuous culture. We have the continuous civilization. And one of the important reasons for that continuous civilization is, yes, plain area. Other than the plain area, other physical factors also play very important role. Other physical factors like climate. So in climate, temperature and precipitation happens to be the two very important aspects. Temperature, precipitation. Then in any area, the population will always be higher where you will have the more availability of water. आजकल तो शहरों में भी ये हो गया है कि जिस शहर में भी पानी कम है या जहां पे भी ये लग रहा है कि पानी कम होगा, तो वहां से some of the people are moving out. Yes, in today's world, it is more important the economic aspect. So yes, until unless people will get some other place a job, so they will be forced to live there. But yes, those people who are having some options, so they will always try to move out in some other area where you will have the more availability of water. Like in India, some of the cities, Chennai, Bengaluru. So in Chennai, Bengaluru क्या है? Almost in summer season, 2-3 साल पहले ही था, you must have come across कि जहां पे चेन्नई के सभी ऑफिसेज में बोल दिया गया था go and work from home because they have exhausted all the waters. तो पानी है ही नहीं ऑफिसेज में, आप जाइए, आप घर से काम करिए. Situation in the Bengaluru also is not that good, and in fact demand of the water has increased. That is why the issue of this Kaveri water dispute between the Tamil Nadu and Karnataka is also having that one region, because earlier division was there, but in the modern time period more and more requirement has increased. So yes, that is also one of the important reason. Other than this, also it is important to have the resources, other resources like forest as a resource, like mineral as a resource. So in areas where you will have the large number of minerals, so wherever you will have the large number of minerals, it will not be surely that here you will have the high population. Because wherever you will have the large number of minerals, there are two things. Because when you will have large number of minerals, obviously there is a possibility that the prosperity can be. But it can go against also. The best scenario, the best case is your Africa. So in Africa you will have the abundance of the minerals. But earlier it was the Europeans who has divided them in the whole Africa in colonies. And once after their independence, from that time they are suffering from the civil war. Because when the mineral is there, so whosoever will have a hold on that mineral, so will become almost one particular group, and they will try to rule on the other group. Because in most of the West Asia, अगर आप देखेंगे, in West Asia always happens to be the strategically always turbulent. Now why? What is the reason behind that? Because in Western Asia they have the one of the very important resource, that is oil. तो किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे समझिएगा, आपने एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाया और आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में 100-200 लोग हैं और आपने ऑयल पे कब्जा कर लिया. सो इमेजिन करिए कि दिल्ली जितने बड़े इलाके में जो ऑयल है, सभी ऑयल्स पे आपका कब्जा हो गया. सो नाउ यू कैन सेल द ऑयल टू द countries, and obviously the problem is that because this is one of the very important resource, that we are not having any agreement. We are not having any agreement that who will buy from whom, or over the period of time everyone is independent. So like India, we have the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So Europe, NATO countries, USA, they are putting up a lot of pressure on India that do not purchase gases, oils from the Russia. But for us, Russia is our one of the important ally. So for us, Russia is one of the important ally. तो हम तो purchase करेंगे ही रसिया से. So very similarly in that areas also this happens. Anyway, so wherever you will have the mineral resources, it is not important or it is not mandatory that they will have the high population. They can have high population, but also there is a greater possibility that birth rate is high, so the death rate is also high. Death rate is high because of what? Death rate can be high because of two reasons. One is lot of pollution is there, so life expectancy is low. The second thing, it can be possible that in that particular area there is a civil war. तो जहां पे भी civil war होगा, वहां पे obviously the death rate will be high. And if the birth rate is high, death rate is high, population will not that much high. All right, please note it down few things. Some of the factors, please write. Physical factors. In physical factor, the important physical factor is topography. So as I said that the plain happens to be the more favorable for the high population. Then next point, please write in this physical factor, drainage and surface water. You can give some examples also that population is generally high in case of river valleys, like earlier time period also we were having Huang Ho Valley, HWANG. Huang Ho Valley. Where you will find this Huang Ho Valley? China. Then we have the Nile Valley. Nile Valley you will find in Egypt. Then Tigris Valley. Tigris Valley you will find in Mesopotamia, earlier time period. Indus Valley. Indus Valley you will find in, of course, in India. Even in present time period you will find some of the major cities of the world. Some of the major cities of the world is located on the river bank. You will have very good example, Delhi itself. You can note it down. Delhi on the bank of Yamuna. Then we have London. London is located on the river. Open your atlas. Locate the London first. So London is located on which river? Try to locate Berlin. Berlin is located on which river? Elbe. Try to locate Paris. Paris on Can you think of some examples from India? कोई बड़ी सिटी का नाम बताइए इंडिया में, अदर देन दिल्ली. दिल्ली तो हो ही गया. Prayagraj, yes, open Prayagraj. Keep doing the atlas work. So Prayagraj is on. Sangam we have. So Ganga, Yamuna, and also Saraswati. Do we have this Saraswati? सरस्वती है वहां पे? संगम तो है. Alright, so these are some of the ground and surface water, river and surface water. One more physical factor that is very important, please write. Climate. Please write. According to R.C. Chandana, climate influences the spatial distribution of population Climate influences the spatial distribution of population through temperature conditions, amount of precipitation, and length of growing season. Length of growing season, full stop. All right, length of growing season, full stop. It has far long been recognized that man cannot go beyond the limits set by the climate. The limits set by the climate. So this is the aspect of the climate. One more thing in physical factor which I already have explained, you can note it down. Soils. So soil part I already have elaborated that how the soils are important. किसी भी civilization का, चाहे आप इंडस वैली civilization का देखेंगे, Indus Valley civilization has flourished. So the flourishing of Indus Valley civilization was obviously plain tha, but along with the plain we also have the availability of water. And in fact the fall of Indus Valley civilization, we are not having any agreement. कुछ concept, कुछ theory believe करती हैं that there was some catastrophic event like very large scale earthquake. Then some of the proponent believe that it was the drought. The drought concept appears to be more correct. Geographically also we got some examples of that. But the drought was not like simply the change in the rainfall or change in the river course, because in general it is believed that it was based on the river. So it was a river valley civilization. But we have a concept in our geography, river changing its course. So we call it as river avulsion. So let's suppose that river is flowing like this. Okay? When there will be a large scale meandering, so at one point of time it is quite possible that river will changes its course. So now the river has started flowing like this. So this area will get detached. This area will get detached. But detachment doesn't mean that it will have immediately emptying. Water will be there. So water will be there here. But let's suppose that continuously there has not been 2-year rainfall. Then what will happen? This water will get exhausted. So it is believed that Indus Valley civilization fall is associated with some changing course of the river, and also over the period of time large scale change in the rainfall pattern, accumulation of the water. Because if you will look out the evidences, history में आप पढ़े भी होंगे, पढ़ा भी होगा या पढ़ रहे होंगे, that in case of Indus Valley civilization they were having a very efficient water harvesting. Large scale tank has been discovered. Every houses were having the water storage facility. So water storage facility, large scale tank was there. It is evident that the people were very much accustomed. People were saying that how important is water, and also water was not there everywhere. क्योंकि अगर हम अपनी पुरानी लास्ट 100 साल या 50 साल पहले की अगर आप अपने if you will talk to your parents or if you will talk to your grandparents, then you will find in earlier time period when we have this oncoming of hand pump, before that we were having the well. So well was there, and it was clearly that in the ground we have the water. So obviously in that time period they were not having that much groundwater. So drought like situation or semi-arid condition were prevailing, but they have over the period of time fought back, but ultimately that water has exhausted and the civilization has collapsed. So soil, water. Next point, please write rocks and minerals. rocks and minerals. Also we have natural vegetation and animal life. Natural vegetation and animal life. So that is all about the physical factor. Quickly note down the economic factor. Economic factor. So what could be some of the economic factor? Industrialization. Because most of the European population started growing in the urban area when they have started settling up industry. Industry have been settled in urban area to produce the goods. For operating the machine, they were requiring more and more people. So people have started coming out from the nearby area, rural area, to urban area. And very similarly in India, if you will look out, last 40-50 years, you will find most of the population have increased in the big cities. Mainly which city earlier? It was Mumbai. Of course, in early part of the 21st century, situation has changed. But in general, you will find that earlier time period, it was Mumbai only. So till 2000, it was only the Mumbai. After 2000, situation has little bit changed. After 2000, little bit change, and one important contribution or one important major role has been played by the transport, that is metro. So the moment metro has started operating, suddenly we have seen a boom in the population of Delhi. क्योंकि दिल्ली की पॉपुलेशन जैसा मैंने बताया 32 मिलियन हो गई, वहीं आपकी मुंबई की पॉपुलेशन इट वाज अराउंड 18 मिलियन एज पर लास्ट सेंसस, एंड वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट इट विल बी अराउंड 20-21 million. So it has not increased to that rate. Why? So because Delhi has some different factor. But anyway, yes, industry is there, availability of resources are there. In fact, agriculture. So wherever you will have the agriculture is flourishing. So profitable agriculture. Like in when the Green Revolution has been launched. So Green Revolution has given good result in case of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP. So lots of people have migrated to work in the sugarcane fields, in the wheat field. So that is associated with the economic factor. In simple word, you can say wherever you will have the higher money, more money, so the people tends to move in that area, and that area tends to grow rapidly. Population will be more. The next, please write socio-cultural factors. So what will be the socio-cultural factor? Have you ever realized that let's suppose that you are from Madurai, or let's say you are from Karimnagar in Telangana, and your most of the relatives are placed in Bangalore. So yes, if you have some college or anything that is you are just very much concerned to study in Delhi AIMS or IIT Delhi, so I am not talking about it. But in general, if you will consider some college education or if you will consider some job, so it is human tendency that if your relatives are in Bangalore, so rather than going to the Hyderabad, you will prefer that I should go in Bangalore. That is the human tendency. This is the social aspect. Sometimes you will love culture of some of the places. So if you will have option of going to the USA, and if you will have option of going to the UK. Both are developed country, very highly developed. But definitely you will have something in your mind. So you will say, no, I am not going in USA, I am going in UK, or I am not going in UK, I am going to USA. So the social issues and cultural issues also play very important factor. Like one example, in early part of the 21st century, when this present political party in Maharashtra, so there was a division, and one of the outfit, they have started propagating some hate against the North Indian. So they have started propagating some of the hate of North Indian. So over the period of time, some of the North Indians or some of the migrants who were almost like independent, those whose family is there, everyone is there, they are not having much effect. But those who are new, so they will, rather than going to Mumbai, they will go to that city where nobody is going to ask that this city is of mine. Because in Delhi, each and every individual is migrant. In fact, throughout the world, everyone is migrant. So even in Mumbai also, everyone is migrant. There is nothing called son of the soil. Son of the soil concept is not applicable throughout the world, believe me. If the son of the soil concept is going to be applicable to certain extent in India, that will only be applicable for some of the tribes that is living in, let's say, Andaman and Nicobar, Kerala, or some of the central part of India. बाकी किसी के लिए भी son of the soil concept नहीं है. The only difference could be that somebody has migrated in Maharashtra or in Mumbai in 1600, I am going to migrate in 2023. This is the only difference. Somebody has migrated in 17th century, someone 18th century, someone 19th century, someone 20th. Everyone happens to be the migrant throughout the country. Anyway, so this socio-cultural effect is very important. One more factor, please write. Demographic factor. So demographic factor is more or less like all the demographic factors like birth rate, death rate. Because as far as population is concerned, in population there are three important factors. Population factor or demographic factor which plays very important role in the population change. So population change is associated birth rate, death rate, migration. So these are the three important elements of population change. Birth rate will increases, obviously the population will increases. Death rate increases, population decreases, but death rate decreases, population increases. But most of the time, whenever we study about the population, we used to focus on birth rate and death rate. Birth rate and death rate is fine. Birth rate, in simple word, it is referred as fertility, and death aspect is referred as mortality. So birth rate and death rate is fine, mortality and fertility is fine, but also we fail to realize that one very important factor that plays very important role in population is the migration. Because as almost in this session I have given very good example, and if you have, whether you have noted it or not, Delhi. So in Delhi, in general, birth rate and death rate, Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, almost similar. We are not having much difference in terms of the availability of the resources, availability of healthcare facilities. Yes, there can be some minor changes कि हाँ यहाँ पे एक इंस्टीट्यूट है या एक मेडिकल कॉलेज है जो मुंबई में नहीं है या जो मुंबई में या, but overall we have the same healthcare facilities. Same educational aspect. The only thing that is changing this entire process or entire demography of this city is the migration. So migration is also very important aspect. There happens to be one of the population geographer named as Zelensky. So you can write. Zelensky has also added one more factor in population distribution. Zelensky has added one more factor in population distribution, that is social disaster. Social disaster. So some of the social disasters quickly noted down: earthquake, volcanoes, tropical cyclone, changes in pattern of rainfall, frequent floods, frequent droughts. Alright, so these are the factors. Now the factors we have studied, now we'll move to the population distribution. So few things we'll write, please write note down. Presently the population of the world is around 7.9 billion. And this population can be grouped in three categories. Primary pockets, secondary pockets, tertiary pockets. Next point. Primary pockets. Around 80% of the population is concentrated in primary pockets. It has the countries like regions, REGIONs, regions like Southeast Asia, South Asia, East Asia, Western Europe, Northeast USA, Atlantic. So as I already have explained that East Asia is around 25% population, South Asia is 25%, Southeast Asia 10%, then Western Europe around 10%, then North East USA and Atlantic 10%. Northeast USA and Atlantic 80%. Next, secondary pocket. Secondary pockets have countries like Brazil, Russia, Egypt, Mexico. Almost 15% population is here. Tertiary pockets. These have least concentration of population, mainly because of geographical limitation. So these are the three different aspects. Now we'll have little bit elaborate discussion of this population distribution. Just note down the fact. Almost in 1650 we were having 500 million population, which has increased to 1 billion in 1850. Then in 1930 it has reached to 2 billion. Then in 1975 it has reached to 4 billion. Then in 1987 it has reached to 5 billion. 1999 6 billion. 2011 7 billion. 2024 it is going to be around 8 billion. If you will closely look out this, then you will find almost 1500 it took to first double the population from 250 to 500 million. And in next 200 years we have added 500 million population. So almost 1650 to 1850 we have added 500 million. Now next 1 billion we have added in 80 years. So in 80 years we have added 1 billion. But now in next 45 years we have added 2 billion. So in crude sense, that is not correct, but in crude sense you can say it is around 22 and a half. So in 22 and a half we have added 1 billion. Now from 4 to 5 it come down. Now it is hardly 12 years. So 22 साल से 12 साल में हमने 1 बिलियन ऐड किया. फिर यहाँ पे अगेन इट इज अराउंड 12 बिलियन 12 year. Here it is 12 year. But now it is 2011 to 2024. That is around what it means. almost from here we are witnessing the catastrophic increase in the population. As I said that the population is associated with the three things: birth rate, death rate and migration. But overall population of the world, here we are having only two determinants, because migration तो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ही होगा. तो for the overall population of the world on the earth surface की जब हम बात करेंगे तो वहाँ migration is not playing a role. We are having only two factors, two determinants, and those two determinants are only the birth rate and death rate. So earlier, almost right from this 1850, you will find birth rate was very high, but in that time period death rate was also very high. So birth rate was very high and so the death rate. But over the period of time, with advancement in medical facilities, availability of more food, hospitals, medicines, because of all these, what has happened? Ultimately, the death rate has gone down. Birth rates were still very high, because let's say we have come across with something or we have faced something, so it is not very easy for us to come out very easily. So let's suppose in my neighborhood or anyone of my relative or anyone's relative, let's say they have the 5 children and all the 5 children have died before the age of 5 years. So what the people's tendency will be? If all the kids have died before the turning to 5 years, so what the people's tendency will be? More and more children. तो इसीलिए जब आप सुनते होंगे कि in that time period someone was having 10 children, so in that time period you will be like, how is it possible? But you need to understand that why they were having that large number of children. Because almost before the country got freedom, if we'll talk about our country, before the country got freedom, at that time period we were having a large scale, some of the contagious diseases, plagues. So in like plagues, almost the entire area was supposed to be wiped out. So forget about as individual family, all the people are dying. So when the people were having seen all these things, so they were still skeptical. Also, if you will look out, in early part of the 20th century, we have witnessed so many wars. And in most of the wars, people will die from almost every houses. So most of the people were like that if we have the 5 children, so 2 of the children will work in the field, 3 will go into the force, and how many will survive? And then over the period of time, the requirement that son meta preference, that because the nature of economic activity was not like that how we have today, because in the present time period the whole world system has changed, the nature of economic activity has changed, where there is not much difference between the jobs that is being done by the both male and female, and also the opportunity that is available for both male and female. So because of that only, in that time period, birth rate was still very high. Once the death rate has started declining, but still people were not convinced to immediately go for the some of the birth planning measures, family planning measures and all those. That is why still the population was very high. So this is how the population had changed. If you will just try to plot this population, diagrammatically you will find if you will divide this population like 50-50 years population, so you will find earlier this is representing the population. Now let's suppose that this is 2011, or here we have 2010, here we have 2000, here we have 1980, here we have 1960. So if you will plot on this, then you will find most of the population that were high is in this area, last area. But if you will simply look out the pattern of population in general, so it will be like initially our population was very slowly growing, then suddenly it has started growing, and then suddenly it has like this. So if you will plot the population and year, so this population year graph will more or less appears to be in which shape? It is like J curve or not? Please write. Population, human population is continuously rising throughout the human history. Human history. But the catastrophic rise of population has been associated with two major changes that has been witnessed in the form of agriculture revolution, when the humans have learned the agricultural practices and domestication of animals. And the second major change is associated with is associated with Industrial Revolution, Industrial Revolution. During 17th and 18th century, during 17th and 18th century, when the humans have learned the utility of burning fossil fuels, for generating energy. Next point. The changing population growth in human history traces a curve known as J curve of population growth. J curve of population growth. As far as distribution of population is concerned, in general, I already have given the very generalized division, that is the primary pocket, secondary pocket and tertiary pocket. Now quickly note down that some more, you can say, the categorization based on the data. This data is of little bit old, but because every country will have the different population enumeration, population estimate, that is why this classification is more or less correct itself. So quickly note down. On the basis of distribution of population, the area of the world has been classified. The area of the world has been classified in 3 categories. First one, highly populated area. Highly populated area. In highly populated area, there are 5 major agglomeration. Five major agglomeration. So the 5 agglomeration I already have given. क्या क्या दिया था? Go back. Southeast Asia, East Asia, South Asia, Western Europe, Eastern, Northeastern, USA. If you want to note it down some countries, you can note it down. East Asia, we have China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong. Then we have South Asia. In South Asia, you can note it down: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Then we have third pocket, that is Southeast Asia. Here we have Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Myanmar, Malaysia. In Western Europe, some of the countries, UK, France, Germany. Poland, we have Netherlands, Spain is there, Portugal, Italy. So these are the highly populated area and moderately populated area. You can note it down, more countries. Argentina, Mexico, Brazil is there, Russia is there, Ukraine is there, Romania, Greece, Belarus. Alright, last we have the sparsely populated and non-acumen area. Here I would like you to write a line, very famous line. A line by Clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E, Clarke. Clarke has observed, please write, Clarke has observed, write in single quote, the 7/10 of the earth's land, the 7/10 of the earth's land, which may be classified as negative environments, for human occupation comprise the polar and subpolar lands, comma, the high mountains, the hot and mid-latitude deserts, and parts of the tropical wetlands, in Africa and Latin America. Full stop. All except the first are widespread in the developing countries which have more than their fair share of such physical environments. So deserts, arid region, ice caps, high mountains, tropical rainforest, these are the area which is having the low population. Alright, so that is our population distribution. Some of the recent data will be provided in the form of material. So the population material will be uploaded by this week only. So the population material, as I said, initially it will be available in the soft copy. Later on, it will be available when all the booklet will be available, then the booklet will be provided. Alright, so that is about the population distribution. Now we'll move to the population density. So that we will do in the next class. So that's it for today. Thank you.